Hey, you folks, it's Soul, and right now I'm going to do an interview with two lovely developers, Patrick and Jerry. If you don't mind introducing yourselves.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name's Jerry. I'm a game producer on the live game team. So I'm here to make sure the development goes smooth, and the people on the team, such as Patrick, can do their best work.
And I am Patrick. I am the primary test analyst on Decor Duels. I've been with the feature since day one. I'm really excited to be here and talk with you about it.
Sweet. Now, I'm excited to know about this because honestly, I don't really know much about anything about like this whole prop hunt style kind of gameplay. Like this is like very new to me. So I feel like I'm one of those folks that have in fact been living under a rock. So for those who like haven't seen the announcement or still might not fully understand, what are Decor Duels? Tell us about it.
Well, you might not familiar with prop hunt, but I hope everybody that's listening are familiar with hide and seek, right? I'm a Manilio, so I play that as a child. So basically, Decor Duel is hide and seek in some way in Azeroth. This is a casual experimental game mode that the team built. Obviously, there are other Decor Duels games out there. Our difference between them is we are following through the class agency WoW has always brought to players. We have three class of seekers, seeker classes. Every seeker classes have the variety of ability and playstyle for player to choose from. For example, we have the Spellbreaker that's, is dispelling people in front of them as a cone shape. We have Arcane Ranger who, dropped out an area revealing the decor that was hiding around there. Also, our hiders have more more utilities compared to your usual, flashbang or stun. They could set up traps, and whether they are near the trap, that's depends on the hiders. And then it's a quick turnaround games. It's not like going on forever, so hope people enjoy it.
And as far as where it came from, one of the things that we do on the WoW team and the live game team in particular is we will have regular meetings, like blue sky meetings every 3 or 6 months, where anybody can join and jump in and just propose an idea that they have. It doesn't have to be necessarily something that we are thinking about how are we going to do it. It's just the things that we want to do. So we all get together, we make a big list of like things that are awesome that we would love to bring to WoW. And then we talk through them and figure out the things that we're most excited about as a team. And then we really sit down and say, all right, well, how do we take the tools that we have? How do we take the existing WoW tech and make this a reality? And Decor Duel was one of those things that just everyone on the team was super excited about it. We think it has an opportunity to really make some cool and memorable moments for the community. And so once we had that down on the list, it was meant to be. And we have not stopped since that day. We've just been all full steam ahead.
Right on. So a feature like this, it looks like it's a 5v5 sort of back and forth style. You hide and then you seek, or whichever order. I can just want to double check. I can queue up with a friend, right? Or I can queue up with 4 other friends as like a full party, right?
So actually on ship, this is going to be a 7v7 mode. On PTR, we did ship it as a 5v5 because we weren't sure what sort of participation we would get. And we wanted to make sure that players would be able to get into matches and weren't going to be sitting in queues forever. Funny enough, we actually ended up seeing way more participation than we were expecting. We thought we were going to have to try and do specific times to get people to jump in all at once. But as soon as we opened the doors, people were in. But yeah, so it's when it drops, it's going to be a 7v7 mode, and you can queue with up to 6 friends on your team and hop in. They're quick and fun matches meant to be a casual and playful mode, more so than the PvP that you're probably accustomed to with WoW. So we're looking forward to people really doing fun things with their friends and enjoying the mode together.
Yeah, cool. Because like I think of something like Plunderstorm, which was like a kind of like a whole separate game mode. You didn't even log into the client, the same kind of client necessarily. So I kind of see this as this different sort of combination of things where it's like PvP, but not exactly. It's for, there's a sort of competitive side to it, but it, in a sense, like everyone wins, and it's just hide and seek. You have this element of skill where you're trying to find folks, but you're not necessarily trying to like defeat or like kill like the other players. So kind of like Plunderstorm, though, I'm wondering, because again, for some folks, this is going to be like a totally new experience that isn't exactly Warcraft. So when this thing goes live, and I presume it's just going to go live like right with the patch, do we just like queue up and go, or is there like any sort of like small quest line, or is there like an onboarding process that gives us the basics of how things work?
So we did incorporate a short tutorial quest line to introduce players to the game mode and some of the mechanics. And we thought that that was really an important thing to do for exactly that reason. We know that not everyone is going to be familiar with the prop hunt genre or the hide and seek genre. And so we wanted to make sure that they had proper onboarding, proper understanding. That said, it's not a super long quest. We wanted to make sure that players would be able to just get in, learn the basics, and then get to the fun. So I think we found a good balance where we're guiding players without being too hand-holdy and letting people get into the action. Because really, it's not the kind of thing that you can fully appreciate until you're just in a match and in the heat of it.
Like I said, I know very little about like prop hunt style modes. But I did try to do some research and be like, okay, here's how some of this stuff works. And for the most part, I've seen prop hunts in like first person shooters or otherwise instances where the camera is like locked in a certain position. Now, I'm wondering if that is because from what I've seen from Decor Duel footage, I'm not exactly sure. So is that whole camera lock style, is that going to happen for the Seekers in this mode? Because, WoW is normally the kind of game where we're allowed like this whole freeform camera movement, even if we're not changing our character's orientation.
Yeah, so is I'm thinking your main takeaway is like trying to pull a sneaky and pretending to look one way as a Seeker, and then you're... So yeah, we with Decor Duel being something that is built completely with existing WoW tech, it does use the traditional WoW view systems. So you will be able to sort of swing that camera around, look behind you. We don't want the mode to be super crazy competitive. We want players to be able to get in, have fun, be playful with it. So rewards wise, we're not required as long as you're actively engaging with the mode, you're getting rewards. So we're not expecting the mode or the matches to be super contentious, super sweaty, super aggressive. So I'm knowing our player base. I'm sure there will absolutely be some players that do take it very seriously and want to get in and figure out the meta and use the techniques that they've honed over all this time. But we're hoping that there'll be a good balance between that sort of sweaty nature and also just having fun and playing with it. It's a very silly experimental mode, and I'm hoping that the players are really going to be into that and embrace it.
Yeah, like I noticed from like the footage that I've seen from those other kind of prop hunt games, like no, they're sweating. Their faces are glistening. They're like super intensely like going around and just they're playing like super intense music behind them while trying to hide. So it feels like kind of a breath of relief where it's not going to be like that intense. But I can see where some folks, they might have like certain experiences with how prop hunts are supposed to feel like and be like, hey, this is different. But this of course is Warcraft trying to do its own thing, which is always cool.
Yeah, and I can absolutely agree with you there. I would say probably this is one of the features that we've seen some of the most yelling in the office just as we were playing. The volume and excitement tends to go up to the point where, they know when we're doing a play test in the whole building. And that's awesome because we love that people are passionate, and everyone working on WoW is so passionate, so talented, and just it's great to see us be able to hop in and enjoy that. And this feature has really, I think, brought out a lot of that in everyone.
Yeah, sorry to cut you out. TLDR, just that when we build this feature, our goal was to have fun, for players to have fun, for everybody who participated to have fun. I mean, obviously, when you lost, you feel some sort of angry, but we don't want them to go into the angry that we normally talk about, feeling defeated. But it's more like you still have fun. That's the most important thing we've had. We hope the fun that we were experiencing when we were doing the team play testing translate to the players.
So we talked about score just a tiny bit, and I'm hearing from you guys that you want this to be, for the most part, a very welcoming mode. That it's not going to be like, okay, we're like, it sounds like the expectation is that I'm not going to come away from this. If I lose a match, I'm not going to be like, oh, now it's going to take me a bajillion years to get whatever. So I want to talk about score for like just a second. Like, so I saw that we get a score at the end. I guess, can you just tell us how that works? Because it doesn't seem as simple as, in order to get a decent score, you must win.
Absolutely. I mean, and we give the players a fair bit of information at the end of the match because we want players to see how they're doing. We want to reward those that are really having they're doing really well. We want players to know that. I mean, because it feels cool to show off a little bit. So we do give you that information. However, as far as the rewards, we really wanted to emphasize just being active, participating will get you the rewards that you want. At the end of the match, there is the winning team does take away a few extra coins, but it's not really a huge difference. As long as you're participating in the match, then you're getting more than enough to get the rewards that you want. And that was something that was really key to us when we were developing this and planning it, is we didn't want to require players to win. We want players to enjoy the mode first and foremost.
So the vibe I'm kind of getting is it's a bit less about, as you say, it's less about winning, but like, I guess it sounds like it'll reward, like, oh, if I as an individual, if I do like a sick play and I get this to do a couple getaways, then in that case, I guess I'll get like extra points, something like that.
Exactly.
Right. Sounds good. So you mentioned classes and different like traps and whatnot, and I did see on on the blog post that it doesn't appear that we get all the abilities at once. So can you talk to us a little bit about how these unlocks work, and I guess more importantly, like how long does it take to like get our whole toolkit?
So the classes all have 3 or 4 abilities that ultimately can be used. I believe 2 of the abilities are locked by default for each one. The same vendor that sells the rewards sells the spells and abilities. So all of the kits are unlocked just right off the rip. And then you can also pick up those 2 extra spells. That isn't to say that you can't do really well without those. It's just something that adds a little bit of more variance, a little bit more to your toolkit for that particular seeker. So like I said before, as long as you're engaging in matches, you're taking away those illusionary coins, you should be able to pick up those spells pretty quickly. One of the main reasons that we did that is that we wanted the players to feel that there was some sense of progression. We wanted them to feel like the matches were changing, like the game mode was changing for them a little bit. We think it'll also really allow the matches to be diverse. As players unlock particular kits, they're going to find ones that they like. They're going to find abilities that they like. And that's something that I think will keep it really fresh for players, because we do want to have that variation. We do want to have that diversity in matches so that we're not seeing a lot of just the same old. There are tons of different props. There are different traps that the different props can use. And those will be unlockable as well. And so it's just, this is something that we wanted to give players new ways for the matches to change as time goes on, and to really have that sense of progression.
Thank you very much for that one. So let's talk rewards for a bit. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming. There's like this snazzy mount. I saw that the podium from Decor Duels, that's going to come back, and so I'm really pleased about the updates to that. Can't wait for it. Now, I also saw that there's decor available at like certain prices. So folks will probably want to know, In kind of like the mid to long term, are we going to be expected to go back specifically to Decor Duels to do like repeat purchases of this decor?
So currently, the decor rewards and all of the rewards from Decor Duel will only be available from Decor Duel. However, we as a philosophy don't want to make something that players won't be able to ever get again, because that just doesn't feel great. So it is something that we're conscious of and something that we will consider going forward, because this is, as of right now, planned to be a temporary game mode. We want to make sure that it's not going to be the kind of thing where players are going to have 3 items in their house and will never be able to get the 4th one that matches, because that feels real bad. That happened. It went, yeah. And so it's something that we're very conscious of, and we don't want to do that to our players. So we don't have a definite answer for that yet. But as of right now, the only way to earn the Decor Duel rewards is in Decor Duel.
And as I mentioned earlier, the team is building an experiment gameplay for the players, and we're encouraged a player to voice their feedback to us. We're listening to their feedbacks, paying closer attention to it, and then we'll take into the team and then discuss further upon.
All right, so since we now know that for the most part this is going to be a temporary kind of event, at the risk of asking more than I should be, any idea how long this temporary event may last? Is it going to be like towards the end of like perhaps this season? Like any sort of ballpark or little snippet you can share with us?
Currently, we don't have an end date for it because, as I mentioned, we're building an experience for a player. And then we're paying closer attention to the popularity of this the experimental game mode and the engagement with it. And if players having fun, why do we want to stop them having fun? Right? Just let them keep playing.
Yeah, it's a really cool. This is a brand new thing that we're trying. It's not something that we've ever done before, where we've started a limited time thing and didn't really have a set end date. So it's a little scary, but it's also definitely really cool. This is a new idea for us, and I think it's going to teach us a lot, and it's going to give us an opportunity to grow and to build something that's going to be cool for a while.
So one thing real quick I want to clarify, because it was a couple months now when Decor Duel was first announced during the State of Azeroth cast. I believe it was Ian who had mentioned that, yes, we're going to have a map over in Falcon Wing Square, which was announced, and I see it on the blog, but he also alluded to the neighborhoods as well. So, but it sounds like it's just going to be Falcon Wing Square. Is that the only map right now?
Yeah, so for this iteration, Falcon Wing Square is going to be the only map. But we are, like I said, pay attention to players' engagement, popularity of this game mode. And then, we're definitely taking those ideas back to the team and then, discuss further upon.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot of really cool things with housing. The giving players the opportunity to really build their own space has been really cool and has led to some really neat content. And so it would be really cool to see something like this expand into that territory and allow players to really make their own space for it. And I think that would be really interesting to see for sure.
Very cool. Now, this is for you guys personally. Now, it sounds like you guys have had quite a bit of fun doing the internal play testing and everything. Now, I guess as maybe a tip that some folks can perhaps pick up on, like, are there any favorite like specs or favorite abilities or like anything that you want to share on that front, or anything, any awesome moves that you might have made?
Me personally, the Spellbreaker is one of my favorite because it got the ability to leap. Sometimes when doing play test, obviously we have a lot of new people that's experienced this game mode, which as a hider, they were attempting to jump on tables, right? And then when you got them, you just leap towards them and surprise, give them a big shout out in some cases, just to catch them for a bit. I personally like that. That was my favorite spell.
Yeah, and as far as like the hider abilities, I think probably the Void Sphere is my personal favorite. one, it's visually just gorgeous. I think our design team did an amazing job with that and just knocked it right out of the park. But also, it leads to a lot of very silly moments. You can use it to either bounce yourself back as a propel yourself forward as a hider, or bounce back seekers. And it's just at one point I was testing doing some grabbing some screenshots for one of our socials, and I think I was like a candelabra or something, and set up a number of the void spheres in a row, and just launched myself clear across the map. And it was a very silly, like, those are some of the best screenshots I think I've taken in all my years on this team, just because it's just very silly and very, very cool. So I think that's probably my favorite personally.
Factor, you want to share the fly story with with Zephyr?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we with anything, it being in QA, we see a lot of very kooky things. We see silly things. And so one of the things a lot of the creators have been asking is what sort of weird bugs have we seen? And in this case, one of them is literal bugs. If you stand in place for too long as one of the hiders, you start to gather flies or bees around you, depending on if you're a food item or not. And I did not know that apparently we never put a cap on a number of flies or bees that you accumulate over time. So I was testing something, stepped away from my desk for a little while, and just left my character sitting as a prop in the middle of Silvermoon, and then came back, and it was just completely filled with flies. And it was just one of those moments for me that I came back and I'm like, what just happened? It was the very much like the walk in the door, drop the pizzas moment, because it was just so crazy. And it was fun. It's funny now. It wasn't super funny then, because the servers are not meant to handle that many flies. But looking back, that's one of the sillier moments that I had. And also just being a mode that's focused around having sentient furniture and people disguised as furniture. We've seen a lot of very silly things, like mounting up as a chair, or anything like that. And so it's the Drakthir are always one of those particularly difficult areas when we're implementing, because they have the ability to fly on their own. And so at one point we had a flying cake that I had to write up a bug for. So,
well, I admit that I was a little bit kind of a skeptic when I first heard of Decor Duels, because, well, one, I didn't really know anything about it. But after everything that I've learned, after talking with you folks, it's pretty clear that you guys want to just make a mode that is fun, that is something that everyone can just easily like jump into, and then win or lose, come away with a little something and not feel too bad about it, or I guess ideally want to jump back in for a little bit more. So I want to give a big thanks to Patrick and Jerry. Thank you guys for talking with me and hyping up Decor Duels. Like I said, I'm feeling more excited about it now. I'm really looking forward to it when it comes out. And yeah, if you want to just give a quick last word, the floor is yours.
that is so awesome to hear, and I'm glad that we converted you a little bit there. Like we've said, this is very much an experimental thing for us. We wanted to put together a little bit of a sample of what this mode could potentially be, and really get it into the players' hands and find out what they love, what they don't love. So above all else, please, get out there, hop in matches and create content, get on social media. Let us know what you love, what you don't love, and just tell us what you think Decor Duels should be. Because ultimately that's the most important thing with something like this, is we need to know what hits, what doesn't.
Yeah, just let us know. You guys have fun? Are you guys not having fun? We're paying closer attention to them, and then we'll hopefully everybody enjoys it.
I hope so too. And with that, that'll be it for today. Thanks again for joining me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. See ya.